Drake Maye has appeared in now 30 games across 3 seasons with North Carolina. He had the past 2 seasons as a starter, taking over for the great Sam Howell, and now could potentially be taking over for Sam Howell again in Washington. But as much as it pains me to say, Kate, I think Maye might be better than our guy Sammy H. How about you? What are your thoughts on UNC's QB projected to go in that number 2 to 3 range?
I mean, Drake Maye just has so many of the intangible kind of traits that you want in a quarterback. He's got prototypical size, which you love. He's got great size, measured in at 6'4" and 3/8 inches, 83rd percentile for quarterbacks. Weighed in 223 pounds, 56th percentile among quarterbacks. Has all of that experience. He's 21 years old with 2 years experience as a starting quarterback here. You mentioned the kind of comparison to Sam Howell, and I do think it's really interesting to see them coming out of the same offense, right? Because a lot of what you like about Drake Maye is a lot of what was kind of intriguing about Sam Howell, albeit Drake Maye a bit cleaner in most regards, but has a lot of athleticism that I don't think you might expect for a player with his size and stature. Like over the 2 seasons he had as a starter, 89th percentile in PFF passing grade from a clean pocket, 80th percentile in first and second down, 91st percentile in PFF passing grade on no play action. But, solid runner. He's not the most creative, but he's going to take exactly what the field gives him. He's mobile in the pocket under pressure. I think he has a solid feel for like how to slide around the pocket. Tough as nails, like isn't afraid of anything. He can follow through on a throw, even with a bunch of defenders in his place. But I will say conversely, also, that sort of no fear mentality can lead to some risky throws. Also never lets the play die, much like a Caleb Williams. And that has also led to a pretty high sack rate, ranked 3rd among our top quarterback prospects in pressure to sack rate last season, 19.5%, which again, one of those traits that translates pretty well, from the NFL or from the collegiate to the NFL level. But just a really, really solid prospect.
It really is. And like you said, you mentioned all the passing numbers, the stable metrics for him. He was a standout in terms of stable metrics, especially even in this class alone. But yeah, like his big time throw rate, 97th percentile for his college career among 2017 quarterback prospects. He was 93rd percentile in air yard percentage as well. Like he's willing to take those shots, right? And he's been productive doing it. And he's done this despite Josh Downs being like his best college receiver, right? And that's not a slight at Josh Downs, but more so for this past year, right? When Downs wasn't there, that group was really just kind of average at best. So to put up some of the numbers that he did in 2023 specifically, like 89.8 passing grade, 8th in the FBS, 3,600 passing yards, which was 12th, 7.7% big time throw rate in 2023, which was also 8th, right? It's a huge credit to him on top of, his offense there at North Carolina, also not employing like a lot of those kind of cheat codes, like play action to make things easier for him and providing a little bit more of an edge over the defenses that he faced there in the ACC. So, if you look at him just comparatively with Caleb Williams, for example, who used play action on 41% of his dropbacks, Maye was down at 27%, which is below average for the prospect pool. But Williams specifically also much higher than average as well. So like you said, not nearly as polished as like a decision maker or anything like that. Still kind of looks like there are kinks to work out of his game. Obviously, with most college quarterbacks, this is the case, right? But you just get the sense that he could be very good. I don't know that he's necessarily going to hit the ground running in the NFL, which is fine, because honestly, I think that's a big expectation to put on any rookie quarterback. So depending on the offense that he lands, it feels like potentially Washington. We'll see, what kind of movement happens there, or if Jaden Daniels goes ahead of him. But I'm definitely intrigued with him as a prospect. Obviously, the rushing success as well, like you said, it makes him a more intriguing fantasy asset as well. But yeah, maybe not necessarily expecting like immediate fantasy success, and again, depending on landing spot. But there's potential here down the road for him to be a fantasy starter at some point in his career, in the near future, I should say. But yeah, just, speaking of like kind of comps and stuff, it was kind of interesting to me because I do have a player in mind who kind of stands out, again, very similar to Drake Maye, at least from a college production standpoint, again. So not a one-to-one comp or anything like that, because I can hear the outrage online already if I mention this player's names. But as far as college prospects go, he's very similar numbers as Justin Fields. They're similar sizes. Maye 6'4", 230, Justin Fields 6'3", 228. They're right there as far as size goes. Fields, obviously, he did earn a slightly better career passing grade than Maye, but it's close. 93.6 for Fields, 91.5 for Maye. Career college rushing yards, 1494 for Fields, 1547 for Maye. Big time throw rate, 8.4% for Fields. That was 98th percentile among the college prospect pool since 2017. Maye is right behind him at 8.2% at 97th percentile. Their turnover worthy play rate is super similar, 2.2% for Fields, 93rd percentile, and 2.1% for Maye, 95th percentile. Career first down touchdown rate, 42% for Fields, 97th percentile, 42% for Drake Maye. Explosive run rate, very similar as well, 22.6% for Fields, 23.6% for Maye. I mean, I got other ones. Yards after contact per attempt, super similar. Catchable pass rates on throws, 10 plus yards downfield. Fields was 99th percentile. Maye was 95th percentile. There's a lot of numbers that I pulled, basically, that they're almost right next to each other in every category, is kind of my point, right? Including size and rushing production. Now, Fields is a better athlete. I know he hasn't quite worked out in the NFL, and there's plenty that separates them there again. So I'm not saying they're a one-for-one comp, but there are similarities in college production numbers, which I just found it was interesting, is all I'm saying. And and one more, guess where Bucky Brooks had him going picks-wise in his mock draft that came out today? 11th overall, just like Justin Fields. So there's some similarities there. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying there again, this isn't, I feel like I got to clarify, right? Because I don't want to get roasted for this comp, but I just see the similarities, at least for college production wise.
That's really interesting. I think a lot of people look at Drake Maye, I think especially from like a build standpoint, and see a lot of Justin Herbert. I'm going to be honest, the Justin Fields is not a name that had popped up into my brain, but listening to you talk kind of sold me on it. It definitely Fields has the edge in terms of athleticism. I think Fields is a lot more like creative in an open field than you're going to get from a Drake Maye, but really interesting to see and hear the sort of side by side, because it does. It's almost like we're hearing like the ghost of Justin Fields, and hopefully this ghost turns out a little better than the last. And just to be clear, I love Justin Fields. So
do I. I'm still a believer that he has potential in the right system in the NFL. Hopefully, maybe Pittsburgh can be that system for him. But just, college production numbers wise, they're very similar. They just stood out to me. I didn't go into it thinking that would be a comparison that I'd make, but just looking at the numbers, they constantly came up side by side to each other. So that's Drake Maye.